Welcome to this talk. Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Chat, conversation, and natural language understanding at the cutting edge. This talk will contrast cutting edge approaches to chat, conversational AI, and natural language understanding with an overview of current research and technical abilities. The topic is structured for non-specialists with an emphasis on underlying ideas and capabilities. First, an introduction. My name is David Jenkins. I am Principal AI Consultant at Excellent Solutions. I'll be adding a little bit more information about the company and about myself in the slides, but for the talk I wanted to concentrate on content. So, what are you going to get out of this talk? Firstly, I want to introduce two basic chatbot types, their advantages and disadvantages. I'd then like to take a look at another approach where we're able to answer general questions. And finally, I'd like to finish with a state-of-the-art chatbot which is capable of human dialogue and conversation. But the first thing I would like to point out is that chat is all about context. Possibly one of the most famous chat-up lines ever is Mae West. Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Context in this case is everything. Each of the two chatbot types that I'm going to present here are capable of dealing with context in very different manners. Rule-based chatbots are really the final instance of what started way back in the days of expert systems. Systems such as Mycin encapsulated an entire body of medical knowledge and were able to prescribe, I think it was antibiotics, on the base of expert knowledge that had been codified in the form of rules. A rule-based chatbot is nothing other than a conversational system based equally on rules. Conceptually, they're very easy, and they're ideal for a simple choice-based menu. On the left, we have a little diagram. We can imagine that you have a customer, and the customer either speaks or enters an input phrase, and then we run through a series of decisions. What did the customer just say? Did they say reservation? Did they say booking? Did they say cancellation? In this case, this chatbot can only cope with those three phases. So if it's none of those, then it goes back to the beginning and waits for the next input, presumably telling the customer that the phrase was not understood. We also see that the phrases reservation and booking both lead to the same action, to book a table. And this is one of the disadvantages of rule-based chatbots, is that for every possibility, for every way that the customer may pick to address his task, I need to have that option coded explicitly in order to execute that task. If the customer was to say inquiry, for example, then we would fall through, phrase not understood, and start back at the beginning. This can quickly get very frustrating for customers. But on the other hand, rule-based chatbots are usually fairly quick to build, and because they're quick to build, they're also cheaper to build. They are coded. It's a program that we are looking at here, a normal standard program. So integrating with back-end systems is normally very straightforward. And we can use them as a type of filter before a human agent comes online to acquire standard details such as an account number. They are highly predictable. I know precisely for any input what the output will be. And this is of benefit. Anything that I put on my website is subject to malicious attack, and for a rule-based chatbot, the attack is the same as any program I put on my website, so the risks are well understood. It's easy to integrate interactive elements and media, or we can use other input methods, such as we can enter a number or push a button to select options. Rule-based chatbots are being replaced by AI chatbots. AI bots are the type of chatbot offered by the leading cloud companies, Amazon, Microsoft, or IBM. They are a little bit more sophisticated. Training for the AI is usually initially provided by the cloud company itself. They have a default system that you can use, but you will obtain better results if you have a lot of traffic and can train the bot yourself. AI chatbots are trained on past data, which means that they can learn from information that you collect during their operation. They can use this knowledge to get better or indeed change over time. They can deal with a wider range of input. They have a language model, so synonyms and different ways of expressing the same concept are usually no problem for an AI bot. This means that they can also be applicable for a broader range of decisions that they need to make. And they are in general, because of the language model, more flexible, and they are usually able to cope with a wide number of languages. They have a very different architecture from the one we just saw. So we start with the user again. I would like to make a booking. I would like to make a reservation. There's a table for 2 available at 9 p.m. tonight. Each of these encodes the same intent. In each case, the customer would like to make a table reservation. In the intent, we can see that there are certain entities which are important for determining what exactly the customer wants to do. So in our table reservation, we need to know how many people is the table to be reserved for, what time, and what day. And these are referred to as entities for the intent. And they make the intent precise, and they also direct the response. In the first 2 cases, I will see that I haven't got 3 of the entities that I need. So I haven't got the date, I haven't got the time, and I haven't got the number of people. So the bot is able to inquire. It can be active and directly acquire the information that is missing. And the whole flow of the dialogue also needs to be designed for example, in what order do I want to acquire the entities that are missing, and what steps does the customer have to go through in order to make the reservation. And so we need to design a dialogue flow. So these are all design activities that I have to carry out in order to use my AI chatbot. In particular, the intents and the entities. The intents need to be trained, and the entities need to be defined, and the dialogue flow needs to be designed. And this is also a lot of development work in order to make sure that your final chatbot actually works as you intend it to do. At Excellent Solutions, we've been looking at a very different approach, which is called generalized question answering. If we look at companies, internally, a lot of work is carried out in communication with other departments. Information is not always available at the point that it is required. It's available within the company, but not necessarily at the point that the question actually arises. And here we have 3 example questions. Do we carry acoustic ceiling sails? I don't know about you, but I only recently learnt what an acoustic ceiling sail was in the course of some work that we were doing for a customer. Or we could just need concrete information such as who's in charge of circuit diagrams for a particular car model? Or what colours are we planning to use in our autumn collection? And we are designing a system called Exact, which is intended to address this very problem. Exact speeds up information transfer. It is designed to understand general questions such as these. And although we are building it initially for company internal use, the same technology is perfectly applicable for answering general questions on a website or in a forum that you may use to communicate with your customers. So it's entirely on premises. We are not a cloud company, and so it is completely up to you whether you want to store the data. You can, of course, use cloud services if you want to. And we train specifically on your vocabulary, so that, for example, if you happen to be in business with acoustic ceiling sails, then Exact will know exactly what an acoustic ceiling sail is, what it is used for, what context you will find it, and what things you will need to know about acoustic ceiling sails. Exact is being funded by the German Ministry for Economics, and we are very excited about the possibilities that it gives us. The final topic I wanted to talk about was a state-of-the-art non-commercial chatbot from Stanford University, which did very well in the Alexa prizes last year. They call it Chirpy Cardinal, and Chirpy Cardinal combines all of the three approaches we mentioned earlier. So I'll just take you through the basic architecture. We don't really have time to go into any details, but I thought that an overview would be interesting to see. In the original, Alexa is used to transcribe speech into text. The text is then passed through a standard NLP pipeline, which identifies key elements of the input and makes these annotations available for later. We also have a state machine. All actions have access to and can update a state database to maintain dialogue context. Whenever the user explicitly does or doesn't want to talk about a particular topic, we call this navigational intent. For example, if the user wants to talk about music. The entity tracker tracks the current entity under discussion so that we can stay on topic. Response generators use the annotations from previously in order to produce their responses. There are a number of generators which range from fully rule-based, such as the music response generator, to scripted dialogue trees, to a neural generative model, which is the neural chat. The wiki response generator uses both the rule-based and generative models. Once we have all of our responses, we prioritize them and select the best. If we are continuing conversation on the same topic, then we normally do not need to prompt the user. In other cases, especially if we're switching to a new topic, we will need a prompt from the new topic in order to start. For example, we were talking about music, and now we want to talk about books. Then a prompt such as, "What is your favorite book?" will be required. At this point, I'd like to leave you with two contacts. The first is our Spanish partner, Dr. Puig, founder of Up to Smart in Tarragona, who is able to deal with Spanish language contacts. And here are my contact details. Should any of you be interested in knowing more or would simply like a copy of the slides. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of the conference.